T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Holla, holla, we damn boys. Welcome to a brand new week of the RP Show, everybody. A shorter week. It's your boy RP here and just RP. So settle in. Gather around. I'm going to tell you some interesting things coming up over the next 2 hours. One guest today, and it's World Series champion, my good friend Gregg Zaun. Hi. Gregg Zaun, my good friend, World Series champion with the Florida Marlins back in the day, is going to be with us in hour two to talk some Major League Baseball and whatever else comes up on Zani's mind. But as we crack the lid on a new week, it's a Tuesday. I hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. I know I sure did. It's episode number 1567 of Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, airing in 32 U.S. states. But we're going to try something a little different today because it's a shorter week, and we'll see how it goes moving forward. It's just me and you in hour one. No co-host today, but that'll change. Moose, whom I talked to this morning, he says hi to everybody. Darren Moose DuPont will be with us tomorrow in this time slot, and then in the guest slot on Thursday, and I'll tell you about the rest of the week, how it's going to line up in terms of guests. All you really probably care about, as for right now, is that Gregg Zaun will be joining us coming up in hour two. But there is so much to get to, quite frankly, that I feel like you and I can get through this opening hour because it's fall, and fall is for football and a whole lot of other things. So I'd rather just get through it with myself and get your opinion, because what we're hearing from the broadcast executives, producer Corey being one of those, and the mucky mucks of the circle that he travels in, is that they really enjoy the interactive nature of this program with the viewers, because that's what sets us apart from all the others. They're like, well, why would we not do more of that? So before I jump into the quick six show topics here, 902-518-3033 is the Western Dodge text line to reach me right here at the Golden Ticket Sports Center. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, like my guy Denzel Washington always says as I listen to his videos every day, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Would help us out a whole heck of a lot if you're watching on the streaming. So let's get down to it. The quick six show topics. I said fall is for football, but we got a little bit of everything for you here. And a lot of stories from coming out of the weekend too, but I'm going to start with this and work backwards in reverse chronological order. Okay, so the big story in my world, Bill Belichick's first game as a college football coach at North Carolina started fast, only to end in a blowout loss. Texas Christian University beat UNC 48-14 Monday night. The host Tar Heels scored a touchdown on the game's opening drive, but the Horned Frogs scored 41 unanswered points, and that helped TCU send much of UNC's sellout crowd fleeing for the exits long before the start of the final quarter. So, full disclosure, if you read my 10 Things column, which is in our newsletter or at rodpedersen.com, I was all excited for the doubleheader in the CFL, which I was, and then I couldn't decide whether I was going to finish off the tripleheader by watching Belichick's debut in college football or skedaddle down the Trans-Canada and watch the Regina Pats inter squad, which is what I ended up doing. But I raced home to watch the end of this blowout. And before I go any further down this road, the poll question today is this, and it popped into my mind this morning. It's brought to you, as always, by EMJ Marketing. From impactful speakers to strategic marketing, EMJ Marketing is your all-in-one solution. Visit them at emjmarketing.com. The poll question is, what is your favorite brand of football? And the options we came up with were CFL, NFL, college, or other. The correct answer, I think, would be all of the above, because we enjoy watching them all. But if you had to pick just one, I voted for CFL, and I'm getting to that. The games were unconsciously mind-boggling, 2 of the 3 in the Canadian Football League. So I'm just working backwards in chronological order here. Belichick's debut getting blown out last night was the last game that I saw. And by the time I turned it on, it was 48-7, as a matter of fact. Brad Johnson's kid was in for the Tar Heels. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not their guy. And as I found out, talking to my sponsor, Bob, this morning, it's not their guy. They lifted the starter, Nino Perez. So it was a fizzle to an otherwise entertaining week one. Now, the thing is, if we're going to do this, and it's just me, then you're going to need to help me out. And I'm specifically speaking to Brent in Wellington, Florida, if he's watching right now, or even Chris from the Bronx, my guys, who I will be seeing in the next week. The rankings are coming out. They're supposed to drop at noon Eastern, like right as we go to air. As wrestling great Ric Flair famously said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Defending national champion OSU is still the man in college football. The purveyors of preseason rankings had anointed Texas because of what in retrospect was an overabundance of hype regarding Texas quarterback Arch Manning. Reality hit at the Horseshoe on Saturday. We were all watching, weren't we? Noon Eastern kickoff there. The Buckeyes, they stifled the Longhorns 14-7 in that football game. Can't imagine a worse showing for Arch Manning, and it's got me anxiously awaiting the rankings dropping. And of course, they're going to drop as soon as we go to air. So if somebody wants to put them in the YouTube feed, if you want to text them, 902-518-3033, or guys, if you want to send it to my personal phone, I'd love to know, because the Buckeyes are going to be, well, for sure the Longhorns dropping out of number 1, and Penn State, I think, is going to be knocked out of number 2. So, but that's dropping as we speak right now. That's what sucks about live television. I'll say this. This is the most college football that I've ever watched in a week in my entire life. Thursday night, Nebraska, Cincinnati. Saturday morning, Texas, OSU. Sunday night, Miami, Notre Dame. And then Monday night, South Carolina. And I was with sponsor Bob on Saturday. I said, well, I don't remember these college games being strung out over 4 or 5 nights. And he goes, because they haven't been. College football has been in the dark ages. It's, as we've heard for ages now, it's pro now, baby. And they're putting their marquee games on in prime time. And this is what we got. Now, from an entertainment factor, I don't care. It does not compare to what we saw in the Canadian Football League. And if I have time, I have a little over a minute here, the opening segment. Labor Day mayhem in the Canadian Football League. I know that's what a lot of you came for here today. The Toronto Argonauts and Calgary Stampeders were Labor Day Monday winners. The visiting Argos, with that unbelievably late drive that finished with an 11-yard field goal with no time left, stunned the Tiger Cats 35-33. Stampeders' dynamic defense shut down the visiting Edmonton Elcamos 28-7 in the Battle of Alberta. And on Sunday, Mario Anderson rushed for 2 touchdowns for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they held on to beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 34-30. And that's just scratching the surface. Those are the scores. We're going to get into the meat of the game. We're going to explain NFL rule changes as we get ready for week 1. I've got NHL news. I got a very tantalizing question I need your help with, hockey fans. And the Blue Jays are at the Reds tonight. Is that enough for you? This is the opening segment. We're just getting going. We'll be right back live on Game Plus Television, streaming and Mission Radio.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Nazareth's Canadian Farewell Tour is coming to Moose Jaw. Live at Temple Garden Center, October 17th. With special guest, Lee Aaron. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or sasktix.ca.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is working out just marvelously, which is rare that it goes the way that I planned. But that's what it, maybe every Monday, because this is our Monday, I'll do the opening hour on my own because there's just so much to talk about. It's not like I don't like my co-host, but it gives me more me and you time, gives us more you and me time. I got one that I'm burning to read. John Ohm from Winnipeg writes that he says, I'm up to episode 6 in the Dallas Cowboys documentary. It's freaking amazing. Yes, it is. And as by the way, was my weekend. I'm going to get to all that, but it kicked off Friday, Saturday night. I was hosting events for the Labor Day Classic, the Labor Day 3rd annual golf classic featuring Rough Riders and Blue Bombers alumni. My heart just fluttered thinking about how much fun it was. And the nice lady who owns the golf course, she's probably watching right now. I had occasion to spend some good time with her and her husband at the golf event, Aspen Links. And she says, she goes, Rod, I watch your show every day. And what I love about it is that you talk about everything. And I follow everything. So it works out really great. And I'm like, well, thank you very much. So thank you for watching. And thank you for a great time. And before I delve back into this hardcore talk, if that's what it is, the Winnipeg Blue Bomber alumni donated $1,000 on Saturday night at the hot stove supper that we did for the golf tournament. Everybody was just into it. It got rowdy and like really rowdy in there in the golf course clubhouse where we did the supper. And the booze was flowing, the money was flowing, and the Bomber alumni, we're going to give $1,000 to Regina Minor football. We're like, what? And they did, and I'll tell more about it later. But it was just, it really kicked off Labor Day festivities really awesomely. And before I get to back to my actual script here, Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in, he says, what an unbelievable weekend of CFL Labor Day football games. And I'm like, you are so right. Regarding the Cowboys documentary, Jeremy in Winnipeg writes that he says, it's a great doc, John. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in regarding last night's Horned Frogs Tar Heels game. He said it was good for memes. Oh, my God. Belichick looked so lonely. I felt bad for him. And as a matter of fact, like at the end of the game, he just looked alone on the sidelines. Nobody around him, somewhat bewildered. And I see Rob's watching in Las Vegas. Where the hell is it? Rob, where's your comment? He says the first time, there it is, not once in his 511 games coached in the NFL has a Belichick team allowed 48 points. We were all thinking it, weren't we? I'm sitting there going, he must have absorbed a loss like this somewhere along the line. Nope. It didn't make me feel good. As I was talking to my advisor in Florida yesterday, she's like, why do you get upset at these things? I said, I don't like seeing others struggle. I don't like it. Didn't make me feel good to see Belichick on the sidelines. I don't know the guy. It was embarrassing. His college debut went like that. 48-14. They got pantsed on national television. I felt bad for the guy. Back into the, okay. Said we're going to be all over the map on football. Fall is for football. And you have to understand something. I'm not going to be just a CFL guy. We're going to get to those games, but I'm into it all. And where the hell is it? Eric from BC writes, and he says, the Tide got rolled. Yes, at FSU. And I should read you the message that I got from my good friend Corey Pedersen. Regina Pat's great, lives down there in Tallahassee, and he's been recruiting me to the Knowles Nation. I know that my college football fandom is up for tender. It's up for tender, okay? There's a fly buzzing around me, so if you wonder what I'm waving at. I'm not moving on from the Dallas Cowboys. I'll never move on from the Blue Jays. Those are my locked in. I'll never move on from the Regina Pats. But Alabama, the good times are they're so over. And I would cheer for the Miami Hurricanes because they are already the most popular football team at any level in South Florida. But everybody's going to be jumping on the Hurricanes bandwagon. They already are. And you know me, I'm not a Johnny-come-lately. I'm not a hipster. Whatever's hip, no. Florida State seems good, Patty. Florida State seems good for me, and they embarrassed Alabama, and it's going to continue to embarrass Alabama. Anybody who plays Alabama is going to embarrass them. The poll question is, what is your favorite brand of football? Carlos in Indianapolis says, I voted other just because it's all of the above over how different they all are. They're not better or worse, just different. Well, and the options are CFL, NFL, college, or other, and other doesn't mean all of the above, but I appreciate what you're saying. It could mean arena football league. For a lot of people, that's maybe their favorite brand of football. We had Mike Davis on here last week from the Vegas Nighthawks, Indoor Football League champions. That's exciting stuff. If you've ever watched it. I told you it would not be a problem getting through this. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, I didn't get to watch nearly as much college football Saturday as it was orientation day at the U of A with my daughter. Yeah, well, fortunately, you had Thursday night, Friday night, Sunday night, Monday night. That's what's changed with college football. Sandusky, Ohio, bro, is watching on YouTube. He writes in, he says, it's actually the Ohio State University. The Buckeyes are the largest football fan base in football. Oh, I don't doubt it. I went to Boston Pizza with my sponsor, Bob, on Saturday to watch the second half of that game. He's a huge Buckeyes fan. It was full of Buckeyes. Well, it wasn't full of Buckeyes fans, but there was Buckeye fans there at the Boston Pizza in Regina. Thank you, John Ohm, for getting us on track here with the Canadian Football League. How are you enjoying it so far, everybody? I said opening hour, actually. It's going to be just me and you. I think we can handle it just fine. John Ohm in Winnipeg says, Brett Lowther is still on notice. The coach will stick with him until he fails miserably. Okay, to the CFL we go. And trust me, we've got NFL in the hopper here. It was, I watched a lot of CFL football this weekend. And as they were going into, as I'm guessing you all did too, as they were going into the Calgary-Edmonton game, Monday afternoon, the hosts were saying, this game's got a lot to live up to based on the other two, to the point that the expectations were like the expectations on Arch Manning. It would have been impossible for the Stampeders and Elks to live up to the expectations set by the prior two games. As I said, in the Labor Day Classic at Saskatchewan, the Rough Riders outlasted Winnipeg 34-30 in a game that, come on, Bomber fans, I've been stroking the Bombers pretty good for quite a while, but this game was not as close as the score. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers only had 25 yards rushing. And I watched it all. I mean, there's cute little things in a game. You can try and skip and not watch the games and get away with watching the highlights or reading a newspaper story on it, but you don't get little things like Trevor Harris punting in the game. What a cute little thing that was. The quarterback for Saskatchewan, which caught the Bombers off guard in the fourth quarter. That game was fantastic, and it came down to the final minute, but the Bombers had 25 yards rushing as a team in the whole game. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers had 25 yards rushing, and you've got Brady Oliveira, the league MVP. What are you doing leaving Secretariat in the trailer? And I find it interesting that Bob Irving, the Hall of Fame Blue Bombers voice, Bob Irving, criticizing Jason Hogan, the offensive coordinator for the Blue Bombers, for his play calling. But when you lose and you have 25 yards rushing with the league MVP who's a back, you get to invite a little criticism. And if anybody can get away with it, it's Knuckles. But and if you did read my column on the weekend, it's at rodpedersen.com right now if you have not signed up for the newsletter. But this is why I have the players on as analysts to break down, to preview and review the games. I'm not going to go too far down this, but media people just can't do it. I can do it. I can do it for hockey because I played, coached, refed it. I can do that. And the network people have said, hey, Rod, you can do all the roles in hockey. True. Football, I cannot, and I don't pretend to. So Mike Awomeshra comes on here on Friday and says the team that wins the rushing battle, who has the most rushing yards, will win the game. It's an interesting way to look at it, isn't it? Because the bettors would be saying, well, but you're not telling us who's going to win. Actually, I am telling you who's going to win. The team that rushes the ball better or stops the run better, which is exactly what he didn't know who was going to come out with the best defensive front, best line play. He couldn't pick which one it was, but he said, this is who will win the game. And he was right. Saskatchewan had 133 yards to Winnipeg's 25, and that was the tail of the tape. I don't care that it went down to the last minute and it was 4 points. It was domination by Saskatchewan in the football game. Now, will that tell the tale in this Saturday's Banjo Bowl? I don't know. And that's not even the game that we should be talking about. If you were watching the Toronto-Hamilton game, mon Dieu. You know what that is, right, Corey? I know you do. It's a rhetorical question. Corey's a God guy and bilingual, right, Corey? That's what it said in the yearbook, in Corey's yearbook. A God guy and bilingual. Mon Dieu. Listen, you know that I don't like Bo Levi Mitchell. He doesn't like me. It's fine. We all know that. It's not breaking news. I like a redemption story, though. And this is another reason why I do not bet. We do a thing on this show called sport betting. We make our picks, but we don't put money on it. It's very safe. And I like a safe life. I really do. So Bo Levi Mitchell was 7-0 on Labor Day Classic games going into this weekend. 7-0. Never lost one. So whatever the scores were, I think the Ticats were down 4. Something like that, with a minute to go. And Bo Levi Mitchell is marching the Tiger Cats down the field in Hamilton, throws an absolute dime. I don't know the guys' names anymore. Doesn't matter. Dink, and dunk, and they're in the end zone. And Bo's giving his little, whatever the hell this is, his little celebration. And he's just being, listen, his cockiness doesn't bother me. I'm cocky. It's fine. I don't mind cocky people. But they really thought they had that one in the bag, didn't they? And with 12 seconds. Who does that? Nick Fatty Arbuckle rallies the Toronto Argonauts down the field. And if you kind of had to be watching it, again, was it Dejan Brissett that tightrope the sidelines? He stepped out with a touchdown, would have won them the game. But a very alert timekeeper at Hamilton Stadium stopped the clock when his foot went out of bounds, left 1 second on the clock, which gave them time to kick an 11-yard field goal to win. And Bo I don't even think they showed Bo. That was, come on, people. Was that not the wildest CFL ending you've ever seen? And we have seen the wildest of CFL endings. That's what happened. So they thought they had won, 12 seconds to go, whatever they were up, 2 or 3 points, and the Ticats march it the other way in 12 seconds and win the game. What? So listen, that's the thing where I disagree with Luke Wilson, where, he wants perfectly played football. This ain't the NFL. You know what I want? Entertainment. And that's what that game had. Bo's first ever loss, when he thought he had it in his back pocket, he probably wasn't even watching. And then I see Ryan Dinwiddie, the Argos coach, that was his 50th career win. I'm like, dang, that was fast. It takes a long time to rack up wins in football, FYI. Breaking news. And Dinner's already got 50. Wow. We're only 2 points into the Quick Six Show topics. So just hang on. We'll be back. Hour 1 for the Mad Greek. Whether it's pizza, ribs, or authentic Greek favorites, make it the Mad Greek Eatery tonight. Open until 11 p.m. Check out their menu at themadgreekeatery.com. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. The RP Show brought to you in part by a new sponsor today, Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. From strategic communications to leadership training and conversational content, we help your message connect and inspire. That's Outlaw Communications. Welcome to the RP Show, fam. By the way, folks, tell me what you think of this. I've never done the opening hour on my own through 1,567 shows, except for when the other guy's camera wasn't working or microphone. You know what I mean? But we never planned it like this. And it's going fast. We're 30 minutes into this thing. PTI would be off the air by now. And we're only 2 topics into what we've been talking about here. So let me know what you think about it. As we move to some changes around here, September 29th going live. Well, it's not live, but close. Daily, 6 p.m. on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network in Las Vegas, Fox 5 Las Vegas. You know, they've talked about wanting more U.S. content, but as producer Corey's made very clear, they're not anti-Canadian. They think it's cool. And they think the CFL's cool. So we'll have that, but there will be a lot more U.S. content in hour 2, just so you know. And at that golf tournament on, it was Saturday, we did the draft Friday night and then the golf tournament Saturday, the supper Saturday night. Paul Vida, former Rough Rider, who's been a great friend of mine for 30-plus years. We were perusing the silent auction table. There were some great items there. And he goes, hey, I watch your show all the time on Game Plus. What happened to the kid from Regina with the nice hair? That could only mean one guy, couldn't it? I said, oh, Moose. Darren DuPont. I said, he's moved to Toronto. He's still on the roster, but he's a lot younger than me. He wants to experience a lot of other things. I said, he just worked the Canada Games. He's just started a new job in television production, and that's Darren's story to tell. So I said with Moose, you come on whenever you're available and have the time. Don't feel like you're chained down to this. And Moose is going to be on in this time slot tomorrow, and then in hour 2 on Thursday. So Moose is still part of it, just not as much, because he's branching out and doing a lot of other things. For me, this is what I want to do at this stage of my life, and it's great. But Moose got other things he wants to do. I respect it. Well, now would be a good time to talk about the National Football League. We've talked about the CFL so far in college, and we'll weave back into those. But Scott in Vancouver writes in, and he says, what head coaching jobs are available in the NFL just before week 1? The Saints? Definitely not the Saints, because they just hired Kellen Moore. But go back and read. We can go to rodpeterson.com right now. Read my 10 Things column. I did post it. It's also part of the newsletter. The week 1 is exponentially tantalizing in the NFL. And you can join us to talk about it on Thursday night at Pump Jacks Cathedral in Regina. It's the last event that I'm hosting before heading back to Florida for the winter. And it's the Cowboys and the Eagles, Ultimate Fan Zone stepping up and presenting our NFL kickoff party. They'll be giving away prizing from the Cowboys and the Eagles. It's a hell of a lot of fun to talk about. And the reason I bring this all up is it's not the Saints. Like, we have talked about this. Scott from Vancouver obviously wasn't watching when we were, and that's fine. I don't expect you to watch 2 hours every day, even though some people do. I'm just saying. But you got to put Mike McDaniel on there of the Miami Dolphins. However, and I've seen these head coaching firing indexes in the NFL. And it's funny because when I was writing the column for the South Florida Tribune last year, which I won't be doing this year, but I did a coach firing index for the NHL. And I didn't care. I had some NHL people saying, Rod, we don't do that. And I'm like, what do you mean we don't do that? They're like, this is more of a football thing, talking about coach firings, not NHL. And I said, well, I'm going to talk about it. And it was the first year that I was covering an NHL team daily or the NHL. And I'm like, well, I'm going to talk about it. Don't get offended. I understand that hockey media doesn't talk about these things. Doesn't mean I can't. And by the way, not one person had Jim Montgomery, the Boston Bruins, being the first coach fired in the NHL last year. But back to the NFL. What's it going to take for these coaches to get fired? Losses. And Mike McDaniel is 3-0, the coach of the Dolphins, in week ones. This is his fourth year coaching the Dolphins, and they're going to Indy. They'll probably win. This will be a conversation for later in the week, but I appreciate you asking, Scott, in Vancouver. It's a fascinating discussion. But Kellen Moore of the Saints isn't even on the firing index for anybody. It's Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland, Zach Taylor in Cincinnati, to be honest with you, Mike McDaniel in Miami. There's like 6 on there. I've just named you 3. Brian Callahan maybe in Tennessee, but you got a rookie number 1 overall quarterback. I can't see that happening. I think there's 6 new coaches in new places. Liam Cohen in Jacksonville, Brian Schottenheimer in Dallas. Would we put something crazy past Jerry Jones firing Brian Schottenheimer midseason? My God. Anyways, Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in, I should kind of get back on point here. He says, Overreaction Tuesday? That's what we were billing this show. He goes, between third out Vladdy and their brutal bullpen, the Blue Jays will be fighting for a wild card spot by the middle of September. All I'll say on that is Gregg Zaun is going to come on in hour 2 to answer all of your Blue Jays and MLB questions. Gregg Zaun, hour 2, World Series champion, longtime Blue Jays connected host, or analyst, not host. So we'll just put that to Zani if he's concerned about what's going on with the Blue Jays right now. The fact that they took 1 off the Brewers and took 1 off the Dodgers in a battle of some of the best teams in Major League Baseball tells me that they have a chance to win it all. And as you say, yeah, you'd like to finish first. You'd rather get the bye. But being in the playoffs is the thing still. We'll put it to Zani. Jeremy writes in from Winnipeg. Who said Jerry Jones hasn't won anything since 1995 and has to go? There's owners who haven't won anything and they're still around. You talking about the GM, Jerry, or the owner? LOL. I can refer you, Jeremy, to some good therapists because I want to know why you're fixated on the Dallas Cowboys when they're not even your team. You're a Chiefs fan. What is it that has you so ensconced in the Dallas Cowboys? Because if you were a Cowboys fan, like those of us that are, you would know that Jerry, the GM, has to go. And it has to do with inner workings and stuff that didn't even make that show. You don't think Jerry Jones didn't have his fingerprints all over the production of that documentary to make him look like a good guy? Everybody's coming out of this going, oh, I just had Jerry Jones, a great guy. Ask Micah Parsons. Ask Jason Garrett. Ask Mike McCarthy. Ask all the guys that have been through there. Going by a TV show. That's your first mistake. Rob in Vegas says Jerry Jones has made himself more important than the team, and that's the way he wants it. I didn't have to say anything. Rob in Vegas just said it. Brent in Wellington, Florida writes in, he says, you go to a big-time college game versus 2 huge programs, and you will become a fan immediately. Nothing like it. Well, I'm glad that I got my Florida State gear from Walmart just before I left Florida. I learned that from Tony from Outlaw Communications, by the way. We were in Houston on a sports trip. Everybody's loading up on all the gear of the Texans, and Tony's like, let's go to a Walmart. And I said, why do you want to do that? All the same gear, a third of the price. Bob's your uncle. Tony Plater from Outlaw Communications, not just a pretty face. Now presenting the RP show. Arlen Bruce, the third, writes in. He says, great morning, RP. You know the North Carolina Tar Heels is a basketball school. It's never been known as a football school. but the Jordan brand is everywhere. Yeah, but you still got Drake May. You still had Randy Moss was there last night. Darian Durant. You ever heard of a guy named Darian Durant? Just because it's a basketball school doesn't mean you still can't be good. But Mike Davis was on here last week, dropping truth bombs, by the way, from the Vegas Nighthawks. And I said, what do you think Belichick's going to do? And Chris Jones in North Carolina, he said, single-digit wins. It's looking that way. We'll continue this when we come back here on Game Plus Television and Mission Radio.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
RP show continues, hour one, and I'll tell you again, because you haven't answered, I get the sense that you like what we're doing here. It's just RP in hour one. We're not going to do it forever, but from time to time we will do it, and because there's just so much coming out of the weekend to get to. Gregg Zaun coming up in hour two, and the U.S. television executives, and I think also the guys at Game Plus too, like the interactive nature of what we're doing here. That's what we hear, so that's what we're going to do more of, and it's going just fine. From the text line for Western Dodge, are you ready for a new ride? Head to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where the deals are real and the service is legendary. Mark is watching in Burlington, Ontario. He says, hey, Rod, just when I think I've seen it all, after 50 years of watching the CFL, the first 2 games had me thrilled and cheering. So thankful for this beautiful game, and it's ours. And that is the poll question. What is your favorite brand of football? CFL, NFL, college, or other? Noni writes in from Calgary, and she says, obviously my favorite brand is the CFL. If I have to choose, I don't like being that guy. I don't, and I got my guy Brent from Wellington, Florida. That's why we get along. He's the same. Why not have it all? Why do we got to pick one? But for whatever reason, everybody wants to pit in this beautiful gridiron game one over the other, or this one's better. So I'll go with the flow. And that's the poll question today. And by the way, 66% of respondents are saying they enjoy the CFL the most. I got it right here. 66% say CFL, 25% say NFL, 8% say college, and 1% says other. Noni goes on to say, it was an exciting weekend in the CFL. Obviously, I'm thrilled with the Riders' win on Saturday. The crowd was electric. Riders will be in tough for the Banjo Bowl. Sure. Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, hey, Rod, the Scullers, that's the nickname for the Argos, pulled together in the latest battle of the truly Labor Day Classic, an ending we may not witness for a long time. There's another thing that I have to let go because it doesn't really affect me other than to say, you're the guy, Kirk, that wrote in and said, oh, with my Argos out of it, I'm going to watch the Blue Jays now. A month ago. And now you're sitting here kissing their ass. That's just fans, Rod. Laverne in Swift Current writes in, says football rankings, number 1, CFL, unbelievable entertainment value. Number 2, NFL, such a professional and elite league. Number 3, NCAA college football. Fun football, and the kids playing are all in. Wonder if Belichick will fire Tar Heels defensive coordinator Chris Jones. Well, to quote Chris Jones, don't get it twisted. Chris Jones is not the defensive coordinator of the North Carolina Tar Heels. I don't even know what he is, but he's not the defensive coordinator. He's like football consultant or something. And it's a story that I don't have the time or the interest to get into. He's on the staff. I think he's doing, wow, you Jones guys, you're all watching. Tell me what you call it, because you're the football people. Analytics, something like that. Numbers, quality control. They have all the names. I don't know, but what I know is he's not calling defensive plays. Oh, on this CFL vein, and I want to get to a sports update here as well, which is brought to you by the Ultimate Fan Zone. Our business manager, Joe, 747 Gunnis, has been very busy signing up all these sponsors. Riders, Jays, NFL, NHL, you name it. We've got it all. Rep your team loud and proud with Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store in Moose Jaw. Shop now at ultimatefanzone.ca. That's their slogan. Here's mine. I like to come up with my own slogans for our sponsors. It's like Jersey City used to be. You know how you could go to Jersey City and get whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted? You can't do that anymore. But you can at Ultimate Fan Zone in Moose Jaw, so there you go. I'll be down there this week before I scootily doot back to Florida. For a variety of reasons, I've not found anywhere in the state of Florida that has much gear and the stuff that I want, like Ultimate Fan Zone in Moose Jaw, and they are a presenting sponsor of our NFL kickoff party on Thursday night at Pump Jacks in the Queen City. Sports update to the Blue Jays. Oh, my God, we've gone this far and I haven't even mentioned the Jays yet. Jose Barrios takes the mound tonight as the Blue Jays face the Reds in the second game of their three-game set in Cincy. Toronto trying to regroup after its bullpen gave up 3 runs in the ninth of Monday's 5-4 loss. Cincy will start lefty Nick Lodolo. And the Associated Press National Player of the Week in college football for week 1 of the season is Garrett Nussmeier of LSU. The AP preseason All-America quarterback and son of former BC Lion Doug Nussmeier led his team's comeback in a 17-10 victory at Clemson on the weekend. Nussmeier completed 28 of 38 passes for 232 yards and a tud in the top 10 matchup. Man, that's another thing. A lot of great matchups in week one. A lot of top 10 matchups like that one. Miami-Notre Dame was a hell of a football game. The Texas-OSU game, while not explosive, it was entertaining to see if Arch Manning was ever going to figure it out. This week, the Longhorns, which you would think would be my team. Like, I'm done with Alabama. We covered that earlier. But you'd think Texas would be my team because there's two former Rough Rider quarterbacks on the staff. Steve Sarkisian running the whole program and Kerry Joseph, the quarterback's coach. But they won't last there. Why can't I move my fandom around like the players and coaches do? That's what I'm doing. But I think it makes a lot more sense to have a Florida team as my rooting interest, and it's not going to be Florida Atlantic University. They got rolled in Maryland by 30 points. They won't win a game, I don't think. So anyways, it's not going to be Texas. But they got San Jose State this week, and it's like a 40-point line. So Arch Manning will figure it out this week. Oh, yeah, right. Jeremy writes in from Winnipeg. He says Texas plays San Jose State this week. Yes, that is not a top 10 matchup there. B. Mans writes in. He says, the number one reason I love sports, nobody could name a relief pitcher for the Blue Jays in April or May. Now the entire country has an opinion on them. Love it. While you're on that topic of nobody not being able to name the Blue Jays relievers, and you're right, by the way, I'm sitting there watching the Rough Riders game, and this is not a slight on anybody, but probably me. But I'm like, who are these guys? Mario Anderson had 2 touchdowns, and he's good. The running back, who is this guy? And this Tommy Neild was looking like Andy Fantuz. I'm like, who is this guy? Because I'm looking him up. He won 2 Grey Cups with Toronto. That's where the CFL is lacking, is in the marketing of building up the players. But that's a topic that I, not only for another time, probably that I don't even want to get into. But Brett Lauther missed the convert. You know he's a personal friend of mine. He is at least 12-year veteran of the CFL. So now everybody wants to fire him, cut him, the kicker for the Rough Riders. And here's the beautiful thing. While the Rider Nation is doing their level best to run this guy out of town, Corey Mace ain't listening. And I'll relate this to hockey, which incidentally, I didn't even get to the hockey yet, and I got some great stuff here. It's going to have to be pushed over to hour 2, and that's fine. But Corey Mace, you think that guy might have some big balls? I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen, but I got a sense, yeah. You think he's going to let the Rider Nation push out his kicker? So it reminds me of the Four Nations face-off when Jordan Bennington, Canada's goalie, was having some struggles in the round robin. If you remember, it happened, but nobody remembers that. It's a short tournament. It's not a long season like a football season, but John Cooper, the head coach for Team Canada, the Tampa Bay Lightning, stuck with Bennington despite his struggles and having 2 other quality goalies behind him, basically saying, you're our guy. And what happens? They go into the championship game in overtime against the USA. Bennington puts up the plywood, and they win. That's called sticking with your people, which this is not casting dispersions on Rider fans, but it's like not every coach is going to bend to your will. Corey Mace, whom I've never met, but he seems like the type of guy that doesn't give up on people. Here, because I am in the wheat province for till the end of the week, they give up on people very fast. I don't know why, but they do. And you look at the Argos and what they've done, winning Grey Cups all the time. And, I asked Pinball, I've said it on this show many times, what's your secret? What's your secret, Pinball? We don't give up on people, Rod. Maybe something you might want to think about when you're trying to tie a can to Brett Lauther or Cody Fajardo or any one of the other people you've been trying to run out of here. Yeah, I know you'll never listen. I'm just getting it off my chest. regarding the Tar Heels. Greg in Calgary writes in on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033. He says, Belichick's son Steve is the defensive coordinator. Thank you. It was escaping me. And they were showing him on television ad nauseum last night. Belichick's son Steve is the defensive coordinator, which, by the way, by the time I turned it on in the fourth quarter, they're showing Brad Johnson. His kid was the quarterback for North Carolina. He didn't start the game, but he finished. And I laughed because Dan Goodspeed won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers in 2003. And I said, how many former Bucks from that team live around here, Goody? When I was with him in Tampa, he's like 5. Allstott, Rondé Barber, Brad Johnson, but nobody can even pick him out of a crowd. It's like 5 guys from that oath. He goes, Gruden doesn't live here. Or maybe he lives there, but he doesn't go into the stadium because of a dispute with the owner. It happens. I know how it is. Hour 2 is coming up, and I promise some hockey talk. And the best part is Gregg Zaun, World Series champion. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, streaming, and Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Spirito Italian. Come in. Enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Spirito Italian. Come in. Enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hello, everybody. It is hour 2 of the RP Show on this Tuesday, our Monday. Hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. I will tell you coming up in the next segment of this hour 2, Gregg Zaun will be with us. The questions are already coming in for the World Series champion catcher and longtime Toronto Blue Jays analyst Gregg Zaun will be joining us. So get your comments in 902-518-3033. As we reset to what we've been talking about today, quick 6 show topics. Number 1, Bill Belichick's first game as a college coach was a blowout loss. Texas Christian University mollywopped Belichick's University of North Carolina 48-14 Monday night to close out week 1 of college football. The rankings are coming out in 1 hour. I got screwed up on the time change, or just the time, 2 p.m. Eastern. As soon as we get off the air today, the rankings will be coming out for week 2 of the college football season, and we expect a mighty shift after number 3 OSU beat number 1 Texas on Saturday, made them look really bad, 14-7. And that Belichick game last night was just a fizzle to an otherwise wildly entertaining week 1 of college football. And a couple things on that. Said it's the most college football I've ever watched in one weekend because they spread it out over 5 nights. I loved it. My college football fandom is up for tender. I'm moving on from the Crimson Tide. Nobody's shedding a tear. Not me, not them. And I'm thinking Florida State University is leading the pack. What do you think, Brent from Wellington, Florida? He was threatening on making a roadie up there. I'm all for it. And that's led to our poll question today, which is for EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more info at emjmarketing.com. What is your favorite brand of football? CFL, NFL, college, or other? Running away with it is CFL. Like, it's not close, but number 2 is NFL, and a distant third is college. Point 2 was Labor Day mayhem in the CFL. It was a 4-point margin in Sunday's Labor Day Classic, the 60th played in Regina. Saskatchewan Roughriders beating the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 34-30. Bombers held to 25 rushing yards as a team. Who doesn't expect the script will flip this Saturday in the Banjo Bowl in Winnipeg? But we all got to be tuned in to find out. Should be a hell of a football game. Monday, probably the wildest finish I've ever seen to a CFL game. I'm not even joking, man. Oh, it was so good. Record crowd in Hamilton. And the Ticats, Bo Levi Mitchell, my favorite player. With a minute to go, he marches the Ticats all the way down the field. He had a 7-0 Labor Day record going into the game. With 12 seconds left, they throw us what looks like the winning touchdown, and Bo's doing this celebration, and I don't know what the hell that is, but 12 seconds to go. The Argos march it the other way. One big bomb by Fatty Arbuckle it was Dejon Brissett, right? Looks like he's going to the end zone to win the game. No, he steps out, but there's 1 second left upon review. Don't go anywhere. And they kick a field goal to win it. With 12 seconds to go, they rallied to win the game. Oh, my God. Why my heart's racing just thinking about it. It was so good. And then the late game on Monday was Calgary home to Edmonton, and that was like the expectations put on Arch Manning of the Texas Longhorns were what would put on that game at McMahon Stadium. There was no way it was going to measure up to the other two, and it didn't. Calgary won 28-7. But the fact is, and people that, God bless you, by the way, that watch this show and then go to our social media channels and comment on there, or go to rodpeterson.com and comment on there. I love you for doing that. You need to know that when I say, is Calgary now the greatest team in the CFL? And then the next day, is Saskatchewan the best team in the CFL? I'm just doing it to stir everybody up. You understand that, right? Because I can't believe how triggered some people get. That's a wow. And before I move on to other things, Friday, Saturday, I was hosting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Saskatchewan Roughriders Alumni Golf Classic. It was the most alumni we've ever had. The Bombers sent more alumni than they ever have, plus their cheerleader alumni, and those gals like to rock and roll. It got rowdy, really rowdy, to the point where I was like in the room. I'm emceeing it. I'm hosting it. And then the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, God bless them. This is bell-worthy got caught up. Brendan Rodgers just seems like a great guy. Never met him before. He's like, we're donating $1,000 to the Regina Minor football. I'm like, this isn't your town. We're donating $1,000. And then he's chomping on a cigar and where do I send the money? I want to make sure it goes to the kids. Because this has been for half a century my home. Len Antonini, here's his number. Let's get her done. Thanks. That, as I put in my column, is if the Canadian Football League is to flourish, we need to come together as a team. Thank you, Al Pacino, any given Sunday. Or we will die as individuals, but nobody listens to me. Join us at Pump Jacks Cathedral in Regina for our NFL kickoff party this Thursday for Cowboys at Eagles. It's first come, first serve. We're not fancy. Ultimate Fan Zone here in Moose Jaw is putting up prizing from the Cowboys and the Eagles. Come watch Philadelphia kick the Cowboys' ass with us. And I'll be hosting that. And then a couple days later, jumping on a plane and heading back to Florida for the winter. I didn't even get to this, a little bit of this, NFL Week 1. A new NFL season is set to begin with last year's experiment on the new kickoff becoming permanent with a new tweak and several other changes in rules and officiating. I don't like this. I don't like it at all. When I got into broadcasting baseball here at the NCAA level just last year, you know what was amazing to me? I'm broadcasting baseball at a high level going, the rules have not changed since I played in high school. Rules haven't changed. There's two rules that changed. Putting a runner on second base, well, a pitch clock in high levels of NCAA in the majors. We didn't have it in the Western Canadian League. I hope it comes, but did not like two changes, maybe three in 40 years, 30 years. Anyways, the NFL's implementing changes to the overtime rule for the regular season, expanding replay assist, cracking down on bad sportsmanship penalties. They're using the Hawkeye virtual measuring this year to replace the old-time chains to determine first downs. So later on today, if you go to rodpeterson.com, I'll have the whole explainer as to what the rule changes are and what it means to you. The tush-push is staying in, however. And the other thing, by the way, as we were saying, September 29th, we go to air daily in Las Vegas on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. That's where you will see some mild changes to our programming, more U.S. programming. And let's be honest, you all know that we've been airing in 32 states for 5 years on our beloved Game Plus television. Shout out in the control room of Game Plus in Toronto. But why they like this show is it's a little different. Actually, it's a lot different. Who's kidding who? Everybody's talking NFL. And then whoever's not talking NFL, they're talking college. Nobody's talking CFL. We talk a little bit of it, and they think it's cool. But one question coming out of or going into week 1 is the Cowboys. And I saw this headline, more pressure now on Dak Prescott with Micah Parsons gone. He's making $60 million a year. If you didn't think, like, pressure is relative. Now there's more pressure. You're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care if you're paying him $60 a game. I don't believe there's any more pressure, even though Micah Parsons is gone. But that's just me. For the baseballers, Blue Jays will be looking to bounce back from another bullpen implosion Monday night when they hand the ball to righty Jose Barrios tonight in Cincy for the second game of a 3-game series. The Reds scored 3 times in the 9th Monday to get past the Blue Jays 5-4. Gregg Zaun coming up in the next segment to talk MLB and Blue Jays baseball. To the long-awaited hockey news I've been promoting, which, by the way, Gregg Zaun loves hockey. Maybe we'll talk about that if we have time. From actual news, the Toronto Maple Leafs have signed goaltender Dennis Hildeby to a 3-year contract extension the team announced this morning. The deal is a 2-way deal carrying an average annual value of $841,000. That's if he plays in the big show. Hildeby had 2 shutties in 30 regular season games with the American Hockey League's Toronto Marlies last season. So a backup goalie in Toronto signs ho-hum. I'm going to give my Atlantic Division prediction, and spoiler alert, it was in my weekend column in the newsletter and at rodpeterson.com right now, but each week leading up to the season, I'm giving my division-by-division predictions, and here's mine. going back to Florida, it's a good place to cover hockey, I can tell you that. Season 5 of covering the Panthers, and to a lesser degree the Lightning, starts in a month. Number 1 team in the Atlantic Division, the Florida Panthers. Hello. Number 2, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Number 3, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I'm putting the Leafs in there just because we all expect them to be in the playoffs, right? I don't think they're going to win the pennant like they did last year. Just losing Mitch Marner alone, I think, will knock him down 5 to 10 points. Don't at me. Florida, Tampa, Toronto, and this is where I agonized, and I want viewer participation. I was chatting with Chris Milo last night, 2-time Grey Cup champion, winning kicker with the Ottawa Redblacks and Rough Riders. His dad, Franco, watches us every day in Montreal. I saw Franco in Montreal, not the last time I was there, but like the second last time I was there, and Franco's, I watch you every day on my TV. And I said, well, why don't you text in, Franco? And he goes, who texts the TV? He's like the Frank Costanza of Quebec. Who texts the TV? Hell of a question. But anyways, Florida 1, Tampa 2, Toronto 3, and then Montreal or Ottawa, guys. And you could say both. If you wanted, you can say both. And I was going to make that the poll question today, but I thought that it would be a better one to say, what's your favorite brand of football? That's the poll question today. And it's 11:11 Mountain, 1:11 Eastern. I don't want to get hung up on this, but hour 1 was all football. And I know fall is for football, but I'm going to wedge my hockey in there. That is another thing that's going to make us different from all the other shows, particularly in America. Who's going to have more points, Montreal or Ottawa? They both made the playoffs last year. And here's the thing. You would probably initially say Ottawa, which is I met Gino Ojic's, one of Gino Ojic's sons, Tobias, in that golf tournament on Saturday. He's from Ottawa. He cheers for Ottawa. And he's a huge Sens fan. I'm like, you look exactly like Gino Ojic, but a lot shorter. Laughed his ass off at that one, he did. Ottawa has the better team, and I would suggest, you can tell me I'm wrong or go jump in the lake if you want, but I would say they're further along in the rebuild than Montreal, even though they've both been going for a long time. But Montreal's more talented. I don't think you can argue with that. Davidoff, Line A, Corey's telling me in my ear, in more ways than one, they're more talented. Are you a Sens fan or a Habs fan, producer Corey? Okay, he follows them both is what he's saying. But somebody tell me, please, your thoughts on who's going to have more points, Montreal or Ottawa. It might be a coin flip. I'm not joking. But I got Florida 1, Tampa 2, Toronto 3, Montreal 4 on the talent thing, and I love Martin St. Louis. 5 Ottawa, 6 Detroit. Sorry, Todd McClellan. 7 Boston, 8 Buffalo. That's my Atlantic Division prediction. Read 'em or weep. And that's the thing. I came away from that Scouting Hall of Fame for my dad a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, I just love the hockey people so much. And I went to the Regina Pats inter-squad game Monday night. I went to the Moose Jaw Warriors inter-squad game on Sunday night. And the Regina Pats have the next Sidney Crosby coming down the pipe, or as some are saying, the next Jonathan Taves. And to the Pats' credit, they posted their rosters for the inter-squad game last night, the blue and white game, and Maddox Schultz wasn't on the roster. So I texted the GM, the rat, Dale Durkach, and I said, hey, Maddox Schultz not playing? And he wrote me back. He said, no, but come anyways. All right. You don't got to twist my arm to get me to go to a Pats game too hard. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, by the way. Darcy Hordichuk's kid was playing for the Pats. Former Arizona Coyote and Saskatoon Blade. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta, writes in and he says, Rod is the Bob Marley of sports TV. Stir it up. I don't even know the significance of that quote, but I'll take it. I'll guarantee I've been called worse. Brian is watching in Regina. He is a Cowboys fan. He says the Habs will have more points. He also says us Cowboy fans are upset because we got a guy running the team that doesn't even know what day it is. I don't understand how the people look from the outside if you're not a Cowboys fan and you're all like, he just seems like a really nice guy, that Jerry. Just go cheer for your own team and let us. That's the one thing is I get that the fans want to commiserate amongst their own selves, and that's the one thing that I miss in a way. But some fan bases take it too far, like with the Rider fans trying to run Brett Lather out of town, or what they did do with Cody Fajardo and all the rest. But you know what? As they say, everything happens for a reason. Everything always works out. So, yeah. Gregg Zaun coming in next. Get your questions in, 902-518-3033 or the YouTube chat. And we'll be back with the World Series champion, longtime Blue Jays analyst in a second, and a longtime great friend here on Game Plus Television.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show as we roll on. Gregg Zaun is an American baseball analyst, public speaker, and a coach still, I think. He played for 9 teams over 16 seasons in the majors, winning a World Series championship in 1997. The product of, where are you from, Zani? Glendale, California, it says here.
Glendale,
right?
California. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Good to see you, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Home from Mexico. I was managing a team down in there, in Cancun and the LMB. Started the year as the hitting coach, and then, they canned the manager 20 games in and hired me to do it on an interim basis because I turned the job down. I was like, I'm not doing this. But it was an interesting experience. Definitely learned a lot and enjoyed a couple of weeks off in August for the first time in 35 years. It's great. But, back in Kelowna, my daughter started school today. So trying to figure out what's next.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time. We'll come back on that. Are you not going to go to Mexico then, or are you going to go back next year? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm definitely not going back to Cancun. That's, definitely not a situation I wanted to be a part of again. But I haven't ruled anything out yet. It's September 2nd, I believe. So, minor leagues are just finishing up. Major leagues are getting into the home stretch. So, you might see some clubs reach out here shortly about my availability. At least I should say I'm hoping they do. Mexico, I've had a couple of teams already reach out about going back there to manage. Not sure about that yet. There's a possibility that I may stay here in Kelowna and do some managing here in Kelowna and try to build a big indoor training facility and tournament campus so that they have a place to host big tournaments and showcases here in Canada.
Well, as we all know, you've got a lot to offer. The viewers are just going nuts wanting to talk to you. I don't even know where to start. Blair in Calgary writes in, he says, great Labor Day weekend comment for Greg. You were one of my all-time favorite sports figures on TV, along with Matt Dunnigan. You are the best. That's from Blair in Calgary. Laverne in Swift Current says, hey, RP, can you get a top 3 from Greg, who he trusts coming out of the Blue Jays bullpen late in a game? I think they'll get it figured out eventually. John Schneider is a smart and a good call. How concerned are you with the state of the Blue Jays bullpen right now?
They can give them some rest. My biggest thing is always fastball command. Now the game's changed. You don't see guys come in and try to paint down and away with a fastball. They're throwing, in my opinion, dumb pitches. They're spinning the ball more often, which means, if you're throwing right on left sliders or cutters, you're throwing it right into the barrel. It's just, they look at data completely different than I do. The new bats, the new balls, the ballparks make it pretty easy for, little guys to go oppo. So you have to pitch a little bit differently. But at the end of the day, overexposure is overexposure. And when you're only expecting your thoroughbreds, your starting pitchers to go 5, well, your bullpen's going to have to cover 4 every night. And they're going to get exposed. They're going to get tired. And, nobody really understands the amount of stress it puts on a guy to be working out of the bullpen. I mean, you might be up or in the game 3-4 days in a row, depending on your durability. That takes its toll, and it's gonna catch up with them. Thank goodness for the Blue Jays. They have, Bieber, Bassett, Barrios. They got Scherzer. They need to start riding those guys, maybe with the exception of Bieber. They need to ride them deeper into ball games. Ask them to get 2, maybe 3 more outs, because at the end of the day, that bullpen, you're 2.5 up on the Yankees in Boston right now. These games are all matter in September. And the last thing you want is for these guys to be the reason why you don't make the playoffs. You don't go to the World Series. They've been good, but now it's time for the starting pitching to step up and get us 3 more outs, please. I watched Hoffman. One of the first things I look for when a guy has had success and then all of a sudden the wheels are falling off. Is he tipping pitches? I haven't seen anything. Um, One thing I did notice, and my pal Jamie Campbell confirmed it, was this bullpen, they get a lot of outs on pitches outside of the strike zone, or at least they have. Well, Major League Baseball, they've got all this analytical data. They figured out, hey, go Statue of Liberty, take the. Don't give the bullpen easy outs. And you know what? That's exactly what happened to Ricky Romero. Ricky Romero, I think at one point was leading the major leagues on getting people out with pitches out of the strike zone. And all you got to do is look at the data, look at the grouping of the pitches in a chart, and you'll see he's not throwing the ball over a plate. So what happens is Major League Baseball figured it out in the bullpen, and they said they're not getting guys out in the strike zone. They're throwing the ball out of the zone. They're not throwing a lot of strikes. Let's just take a pitch. Oh, it's 1-0. Let's take another one. Now it's 2-0. Okay, now I can really hone in on the area that I want. I've got data to tell me exactly what this guy is going to throw in these situations when he's behind in the count. And so now I can lick my chops and just get really, really fine with my approach and say, here it is. So my opinion, get the bullpen some rest and get them some fastball command. If they can locate their fastball down and away at the knees, get strike one instead of having to throw it right down the middle, they'll have some more success.
You've had some pent-up things to say, Zani. You've been ready to get that off your chest.
That was a lot. Yeah, I was in the car a long time today. I've been waiting to talk to you, Roddy. I've been messaging you, like, where you at, buddy? What's going on? You're like a world traveler now. Some days the shows are from the U.S., some days from Canada. Like, holy smokes. I've just been trying to hang out. That's what happens when I get 2 weeks off in August. I'm not used to this.
You stop and you see what's going on around the world. Exactly. But it's not as wild as you think.
Yeah.
It's nine months in Florida, where I've been for years. You said, and you won a World Series there in 97. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Because I can go to these viewer questions. I got a million for you. But how are the Marlins with the alumni? You won a World Series, for the love of God, yet I don't think you've been there for years.
Well, I would say, given my kerfuffle, whatever you want to call it with Sportsnet, I'm persona non grata. There's been a number of alumni events there over the last couple of years. Some teammates of mine, I'm still in contact with Kurt Abbott quite a bit. Jim Leland, Hall of Fame induction. There were ceremonies. I never even got a call. Never even got a call. I was talking with Gabe Kapler and McCullough about a job this last winter, and I don't know what the deal is. For some reason, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of forgiveness out there for people that look like me, and it's kind of weird because Florida is a very red, very a little more forgiveness in a place like alumni goes on me. They don't even ask me to come by.
Well, just so you know, don't be too offended. I don't think Joe Girardi's real high on the Marlins either. I know he wasn't on your 97 team, but Joe's a gym buddy of mine there, and it's just nobody ever really leaves the opposite of unscathed. Maybe is scathed. I don't know. But anyways, sorry I asked. Darren in Melbourne writes in. It's all good, buddy. Darren says, question for Zaun. Do you think the Jays have too many quality starters rather than not enough quality relievers?
No. You can't have too many because you're literally one injury away from needing one. The fact that they've got 6, I think they just moved Lauer to the bullpen full time. So really it's fine. And he's done a good job. I mean, that kid, by all stretches of imagination, should be in the rotation given what he's done. But when you got a guy like Shane Bieber show up and throw the way he's thrown, obviously you know what's going to happen. No, and their bullpen have had stretches of being quality. The household names, not really, but they're good. They're just going through a tough time right now. They're tired. They're out of gas and surprised. The way they baby pitchers nowadays, the way they coddle them, I mean, They don't work out the same. I don't think people prepare for baseball seasons the way they used to. And their workload is monitored, but for some reason, they will baby everybody in the game but the bullpen guys. They are reusable, recyclable, disposable entities, commodities that teams seem to use up and throw away. They'll ride them until they run out of gas, and then they bring up somebody else or they go get somebody else. And it's funny. If you look at the way bullpen guys are signed, how long the contracts are, the length of their careers or the length of their so-called dominant window, it's usually about 2 years. And then there's a hiccup, and then maybe they rebound and then they come back. It's never sustainable. It's never sustainable. And I think that's one of the major problems that they have with the game. One of the worst things that ever happened to baseball was when the Kansas City Royals won the World Series predominantly on the backs of their bullpen. And it's been every team trying to recreate that because bullpen arms are cheaper than starters. Plain and simple.
There you go. Brian in Regina writes in. He says, miss you, Greg. Rich in Edmonton says, Greg was always honest in his opinions, regardless of the network also being the team owner. Rob in Las Vegas writes in. He says, where does the game-winning grand slam and extras in 08 against the Rays rank in your career?
It is probably one of my favorite moments. I had 2 walk-off grand slams and 3 game winners in the 8th or later. I did it. I'd have to say it probably ranks way up there other than winning the World Series because it actually gave birth to a conversation the next year when I got traded to Tampa where they were MSing me because I basically ended their playoff run there that year with that home run. And we were sitting around the table in Tampa on a Sunday morning and Percival's there and Pat Burrell, and they're like, hey, well, why don't you do something like that for us? And I was like, well, tell Joe to get me in the lineup. Well, he got me in the lineup later. He brought me into Brandon Egan. I hit a grand slam off Brandon against the Blue Jays, Tampa Bay Rays. So I would say, other than winning the World Series, that's one of my favorite moments because of the subsequent conversation and me basically calling my shot. It gave birth to that conversation.
Well, back to this reliever discussion for a second. You said they're worn out, they're tired. We still got, 30 games or close to it? Are they going to get the rest?
Yeah.
Like how dire of a situation is this?
Well, I mean, when you look at it, think about you got X amount of innings to cover. Minimum 9 innings times 162. Well, how many innings have the bullpen covered for the Blue Jays this year? That the starters shouldn't have, or the starters didn't. My idea of a quality start is not 6 innings giving up 3 runs. That's a 4.5 ERA. When you break it down, you're like, is that really that good? They need to step up. The starters, they look like they're well rested to me. Go out there and be efficient. Give us 7. Give us 7. So I can choose between 3, 4, 5 guys to cover 6 outs. Give me 7. That to me, if I'm the pitching coach and the manager, right now I'm looking at my starters going, Barrios, Scherzer for sure. That guy's a horse. If Bieber can keep doing what he's doing, he might be the guy I say, okay, give me 6. I want to protect this. Bassett's been phenomenal. Come on, dude. Be effective. Stop trying to go 3-2 and strike everybody out. Let's get 3 outs in 15 pitches or less. Be efficient. Get me 7. Let my bullpen get me 6. That's the answer. Right there. How can we be more efficient as a staff? They got plenty of gas left.
Well, you've won a World Series. You've been to the top of the mountain, so you know what it takes. What wins in the fall, offense or defense primarily?
Pitching and defense, timely hitting. The other team can't beat you if they don't score. And, it's funny. I remember 1988, the Dodgers versus the Oakland A's. My uncle was playing for the Dodgers, and that was the brothers, and they were an offensive juggernaut. 88, also the year that Oral Hershiser put up the scoreless inning streak. If they don't score, they can't beat you. And good pitching will always shut down good hitting. I don't care who you are, how good a hitter you are. if you got a bat in your hand, you got a weak spot. And if a pitcher can exploit that weak spot, you're not getting hits. And you're certainly not driving in runs with extra base hits. The pitching that can throw the ball. I mean, let's look at Shane Bieber. Holy smokes. The other day when he was pitching against the Marlins, there wasn't anything above mid thigh unless he wanted it to be. He's pitching down and away. And that's the formula. Down and away for the money. You're going to give up an opposite field single? If you have the ability to throw what you want, where you want it, and mix and match your speeds and try to find the holes in a hitter's arsenal, you're going to be successful. And there's not a lot an offense can do about it when a guy has the ability to locate and change speeds.
So it was a nice pickup then. Do they have enough to go all the way, in your opinion?
Yeah, they do. They do. If their starting pitchers can be on a roll, and you only need 3 of them, you just need 3 of them. Starting pitchers on a roll. Obviously, you got to keep the offense going. Bo Bichette. There's a couple of guys that are going to need to step up because a lot of opportunities that are coming Bo's way, Vladdy's way. They're not going to happen in the postseason. They're going to make the Varshos beat them. They're going to make Chargers beat them. They're going to make the guys that don't have track records, awards next to their name. That's how it goes. That's why you see a lot of unsung heroes in the postseason because they're forced to step up because they're not going to sit there. We literally go through every single time we have a pre-series meeting. Who's the guy or guys that we're not going to let beat us? These are the guys. Well, right now, if I'm the opposition, Bo Bichette's not getting anything to hit. Anything. Go ahead. Who's the next guy? You beat me. You beat me.
Vladdy worth the money?
I think so. And I applaud the Jays. Like, wow. What a creative contract. I love it. I mean, that's just, I'm from LA. I'm a lifelong Dodger fan, and everybody's crying about the Ohtani deal and the deferred money. And I'm like, why are you mad at the Dodgers? Because they're smarter than you? Because they're better than you at everything? They develop better than you? They play better than you on the field? Like, why are you mad at the Dodgers? Because they got smart and they happened to get the best player in the world to come there and they paid him what he was worth. And him and his agent realized, yeah, there's a lot of taxation that goes on in Canada or in California. Same deal, same thing, same politics, same population. But you look at the way the Jays got creative with the signing bonus and the bonus structures. He can earn those in Florida. I love the way they did it, and they just got creative. And you're always going to have haters that are going to sit there and go, "Well, why didn't I think of that?" Well, exactly. Why didn't you think of that? Why didn't you think of that? Because you're not as smart, and you deserve to be in last place.
Every league has them. Life has them, as you know,
Yeah.
Zonnie. That's why, we think alike. It's like people got upset when you did that fundraiser at the bowling alley and there was all the drinking going on. You're like, what did you do to raise money besides nothing? Haters, yeah. We're out of time.
Why did it matter to me?
We got 10
Why
seconds.
not?
It's just the way people are, Greg. That's why we get along.
Yeah,
Don't be a stranger. Let's get some phone time.
Absolutely, bud. Yeah, lots of.
Oh, and he out. He gone. World Series champion Gregg Zaun. We just got him going. Great comments from the viewers. We'll be right back.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
RP Show continues on this Tuesday. Feels like a Monday, doesn't it? It does to me anyways. Game Plus Television is the place to be. YouTube Live and 1700 Mission Radio. Wonderful chat with Gregg Zaun. It's funny, Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in and he says, not really a baseball guy, but hearing this is great. There's just something about Gregg Zaun's delivery that makes him great in this fashion. And we've been close for a long time, but I remember going out to Strasbourg, Sask to speak at a banquet. And I picked Zauni up at his hotel. It was the Sandman on Victoria Avenue East. And we were driving out to Strasbourg, and he was in his three-piece suit, of course. And I said, how's it feel, Zauni, to be referred to as the Don Cherry of baseball? And he goes, I'm not the Don Cherry of baseball. I dress way better than Don Cherry. And we had a lot of fun, raised a lot of money that night in Strasbourg, Sask. Glad you asked. Sea Lightning writes in and says, Rod, have Gregg Zaun on more often. He'd be great. I think that could be arranged. Definitely into the fall as we get ready for the playoffs. I'm sure he'd go over well on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. Big sports fans down there in Vegas. To the text line, Noni in Calgary staying with us. I appreciate you, Noni. She says, I love how you stir the pot, Rod. Keep being you. I don't understand. Can you, Noni, or anybody that's been watching through the whole show, I don't understand. It's a few people, Tony from Cochrane's another, that said I stirred it up today. I haven't. How long have you known me? If you think this is stirring it up, you should have known me 20 years ago. I'm not sitting here stirring up anything. I don't understand. To what exactly are you referring? We've talked about the college football games for the weekend, week one. NFL week one coming up, which we'll get to more to in a second. CFL Mayhem, where I'm trying to keep it all positive. You know, all I heard about bitching going into the weekend from CFL fans is why Ottawa and Montreal weren't playing. Why this? Why that? And I didn't touch it because I want to stay all positive. All we've done was talk about how great the games were. What exactly are people referring to when they say that I love how you stir it up? Because I don't feel like I am. Certainly not like I used to be at all. I had an agent call me yesterday, and he said, it was yesterday. And I put him on speaker. I had Joe with me. And the agent's like, I just read your 10 things, and I'm wondering why you didn't write about blah, 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 blah. And I said, because I have PTSD from criticizing the CFL. That's why. I want to keep it all positive. So again, I don't get the stirring it up thing. Let me know. We're brought to you in part by Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. From strategic communications to leadership training and conversational content, we help your message connect and inspire. Allie writes in from Sherwood Park, Alberta. She says, good morning, Rod. From Kevin Alley, it was a fantastic Labor Day weekend of CFL football. We vote for CFL. For what's the best brand of football? Your favorite brand of football, CFL, NFL, or college? She said, the only negative for myself was seeing a so-called Riders fan carrying a nasty sign about Brett Lather. I let this person know I strongly disliked their sign. It's ridiculous how some fans can be. None of us are perfect. Have a great weekend. Safe travels. Well, that's another fight that I don't even know why I ever picked up that sword. And that whole players are people too thing. Because the fans are never going to accept it, acknowledge it, or even stop to think about it. And that's fine. But it doesn't change the fact that the players and coaches, and for that matter, broadcasters, peanut vendors, they are human beings. And these types of things do have an effect on you. They do. But it's up to us to find the help. Brian in Regina writes in and he says, there should be an Ottawa and Montreal Labor Day game. Just saying. Okay, sure, but there's nothing I can do about that. And I will not be the channel for CFL fans bitching. Won't. Not. No. John in Edmonton writes in and he says, Rod, rumor has it from the Two Mutts hockey podcast that Connor McDavid re-signed for 4 years, but then they quickly removed their post. Well, what does that tell you, John? Be very careful about fake news, and that's why credibility is a very important thing, and that's why you all are here today. We'll be back with Overtime right after this here on Game Plus Television.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste. Savor. Share. The spirit of Italian. Come in. Enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right. Welcome back, everybody, for Overtime. Proudly brought to you by our good friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where there's always something exciting going on. Tryouts are going on now for the hockey teams. I hope you spent your summer at Overtime Hockey Lanes working on your shot. If not, there's still time. Plus, BOGO on their memberships. Buy one, get one. $99 for the month, $9.99 for the year. It's not as much fun going alone. So here's your perfect opportunity to get unlimited game time, lane time for a month at Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Stop in and see why it's an amusement park for hockey players. Was discussing earlier about the way some Rider fans are treating Brett Lawther, the kicker, who's struggling this year, missed a convert yesterday in the Labor Day game. As I point out, or Sunday, as I point out, I don't expect the Riders are going to release him. He has not cost them a game. And Corey Mace doesn't seem like the kind of guy to give up on people. Some coaches do. Corey Mace doesn't seem to be like that. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in, he says, Rider fans are ruthless. Some, and a lot. Yes. Well, here's another one. And he may be watching right now. I feel kind of bad for a conversation I had on the weekend. I'm not going to say where or where it was, but a gentleman, a very influential gentleman. We were having a good talk, and then it always comes around to this. He says, well, you know what the Riders need to do? They need to change up their play calling in the red zone. They need to pass first, run second. They're doing it the other way around right now. And I played junior football X amount of years ago, so I know, and I think, what do you think? I said, I think you should send in your resume. And I don't think he liked that. And I felt bad afterwards because he really wanted to know what I thought about his play calling, but that's just the way it is. All day, every day in Rider Nation. Sports update for Ultimate Fan Zone. From jerseys to trading cards, Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store is your fan cave headquarters. Visit them in person or click over to ultimatefanzone.ca. They do a lot of shipping, and they've got unbelievable gear. Ultimate Fan Zone, which is bringing you our NFL kickoff party Thursday night at Pump Jacks Cathedral. Come on down, kickoff 6:20 p.m. Watch the Eagles destroy my Cowboys. Sports update, as they say, to be the man, you got to beat the man. The defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes are still the man in college football. The purveyors of preseason rankings had anointed the Texas Longhorns number one because of what, in retrospect, was an overabundance of hype for their young quarterback, Arch Manning. Reality hit the horseshoe on Saturday, as the Buckeyes won 14-7 over Texas and are poised to jump Penn State and return to number 1 in the national rankings, which are dropping in minutes. Look for number 9 LSU to garner support for number 1 after their 17-10 win over Clemson. The NFL has introduced several rule changes for the new season, including making last year's experimental kickoff permanent with some tweaks. The league aims to increase kickoff returns while reducing injuries. Owners voted in April to move touchbacks on kicks reaching the end zone from the 30 up to the 35. This change is expected to lead to more kicks in play and more returns. The NFL has also expanded replay assist, allowing it to overturn objective calls with clear evidence. That'll be fun. Additionally, the league will use Hawkeye virtual measuring to replace chains for determining first downs. That's all part of our sports update for Ultimate Fan Zone in Moose Jaw. Regarding Brett Lauther's kicking problems, Brian in Regina says, we don't want a repeat of the Paul McCallum situation. You won't have it. And by the way, Paul's in the Hall of Fame, just saying, and has the longest field goal in CFL history. Sometimes humans are human. I'm sorry to break that to you. If you're not perfect, off with your head. That's only the expectations in Rider Nation. I had some notes written down here. The week ahead, I mentioned we did the whole hour 1 today by myself. I thought it went well. There was a lot to talk about, and I thank you, the viewers, for chiming in on your thoughts and comments and questions. That helped me out a lot. Tomorrow, the Moose will be with us in hour 1. Mark in Burlington, right on time. Mark writes in, he says, you don't need a co-host, Rod. Flying solo suits you. I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you. And I don't know, my intuition's kind of telling me the same. But if I have the opportunity to bring Moose on, I will. And Scruffy's going to be joining us. And as we wind up our time in Moose Jaw, the most legendary broadcaster in the history of this city, Rob Carney, will be joining us live at Western Dodge on Thursday. And Carnes have been asking to come on. I love him. The people love him, and you'll love him. So we're just, like I say, we're tweaking with some things. We love working with Skycron and Corey and his crew, and they're very open to trying new things, and it's fun times around here with the RP show. On Gregg Zaun, Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta, writes in, and he says, I sure miss Zaun on the Jays pregame show. So do I, man. So do I. Laverne and Swifty says Zani has a great point regarding starting pitchers and how long they pitch. There has been 26 complete games in 2025. He goes, in 05, Roy Halladay pitched 9 complete games for the Jays. They're just not horses like they used to be. Or are they too delicate? Sounds like a conversation for when Zani joins us next. Although now that I'm working in baseball, I could ask my baseball people that and see what their answer is to that question. What I do know is that when the snowball has gone downhill, you're not stopping it. It's the way that it's done now. I don't care if it's starting pitchers, how long they go, broadcasting, who they put on the air, who's hired in any specific situation. It's the way that it is. Gregg Zaun, nor you or nobody is going to change that. Thanks to Zani. Thanks to you all. We'll see you tomorrow. John Bender will be with us, former Nevada Wolfpack and Stampeder. Have a good one, everybody.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?